do that thing, and we'll do it right now.
Okay.
This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Greg Gizmo Zord Parker, and you are listening to Lords of the Storm, episode 149, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multi-Zord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, the Zord Storm is here with some sick mechas in Zord skins, plus a Tyrael rework. The HGC starts this weekend, and we light one up as we talk Blaze in this week's Hero of the Week, 420 Blaze It. Not really.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna hotbox this week's Lords of the Storm. But let's see how the other
It's
Zords...
like 3 months, 3 days too early for that, my friend.
Yeah, it's
All
true.
I'm saying.
It's close to my birthday. But yes, how are you all doing tonight, Multi?
I'm doing well, but I may as well point out at the top of the show here that that this past week has seen the final episode of the Cavalry podcast. I know. It was just due to real life stuff. You know, Slambo had a kid as well as myself. Separate kids, though, I should say. We didn't have them together. I don't know the science behind that. But anyway, the point is, though, no, I think the last episode went really well. It was episode number 101 and done. So if you guys want to tune into that, you just kind of get a flavor for like why we had to call it quits. And then also, I mean, I just think it was a genuinely good episode of the show. So I don't know. I felt good about that one, but I mean, it's bittersweet overall. But I normally save talking about that show to the end of our show. But you know, I won't be doing that anymore.
It's worth talking about now for this week's episode. But yeah, I went back and checked that one out, and it was sad, but it's it's good to see.
It's a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's good to see
Yeah,
people
exactly.
wanting to continue podcasting because Zorn still has his OWL news.
Yeah, Overwatch League Network. OWLN. Yep.
OWLN show going. But yeah, it's good stuff.
For sure.
Ryan, how are you doing? TBK.
I'm doing wonderfully, and I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I am on my new microphone. Yay. All the new equipment is set up and ready for use, so I'm pretty excited about that. Still need to make a few tweaks here and there, but I've been pretty happy with it so far.
Yep.
I really like it, and it looks way cooler too, which is the most important part.
It is. It looks cool when you have production stuff on your desk. And it took a lot of hard work, me going over there and plugging one cord into another thing to make it work, but it's all
I
set up
may
now.
have stayed up way too late Sunday night after I set it up, just poring over videos and articles on what all these dials and levers and knobs actually mean. And I may have actually just like set it up mostly. But I appreciate you coming and plugging in one wire for me.
Yep.
I'm glad you got my back.
That's all it takes with these things. One thing out of place and nothing works. So welcome to audio engineering, we'll call it. We're audio engineers now. There we go.
I actually have a bunch of production stuff on my desk too. You can't really see it off camera, but I've got this this half-eaten bag of Doritos right here. That's something.
It's
You
important.
can kind of hear it crinkle.
Well done.
Thank you.
I can.
Yeah.
And later on in the episode, if you stay tuned, you might actually hear a crunch. That would be Multi eating a Dorito.
Oh no, they're
Please
way too
sponsor
stale
us.
right now. They're way too stale. I don't want to risk it.
Fair enough. What have you guys been up to in gaming this week, TVK? We'll start with you.
So much Blaze. All Blaze, all the time. He's so much fun, and I love him until Monday. And then I told him maybe we should see other people, but just for a little bit, because Mechaterial, Mechatassadar, no, not Mecha, there is a Mechatassadar, and I really wish he would have been in the video, but we'll talk about that in a second. Tyrael, Rhaegar, and Abathur, and I've been in love with my new Mecha pals, and so there's been some playing of robots.
Some playing has been had.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Fair enough. Multi, what about you?
Oh, my standard mix of Hearthstone and Heroes. Although, something I wanted to point out actually is that my wife and I have been going back and rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon show. And we got into like season 2. I don't know. Did you guys watch this either as kids or more recently?
I've seen episodes, but I've never really watched the show.
Never really sat down to it. Well, it's
I
totally
watched
worth it.
the first series. I haven't watched Korra yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the first series at this point. And anyway, there's kind of an evil character, Princess Azula, and we were tuning into this, and I was listening to her voice, and I kept saying, "Where have I heard this voice a million times?" So I looked it up. The voice actress is Gray Delisle is the name, and she also voices Nova and Li Ming. So it's kind of one of those like weird. Oh, that's where.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, no, I've just been, still trying to finish up my dungeon runs in Hearthstone. Still 7 out of 9, so kind of hitting a wall with Warrior, as I've heard many people do. But, we've got the Hearthstone World Championship coming up this weekend, so kind of gearing up to watch some of that as well. But otherwise, I'm really glad, and we're going to get into this in a bit, but I'm really glad we actually have some stuff in the just regular set of Heroes of the Storm chests that I can push for and hope for. So
Yeah.
it's all the more reason to get in there and do that.
Excellent. For myself, this last weekend, some Zords got together. We went out to a barcade and then had a little LAN, played some Arena of Valor, PUBG, stuff like that. And for myself, I have been playing not as much Firebat this week. Up until yesterday, I was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the mech stuff. I've determined I'm still not super great at Tyrael, but I don't care because I have mech wings and I hover around, and there's lots of mech mounts that go really well with it. I don't know.
No better way to deliver justice.
It's true. I bought the bundle. I don't know if I'll actually use the Abathur thing. I don't think I've played Abathur since we did our Abathur Hero of the Week. So yeah, we'll see on that. But you're not the only person that got a new toy this week, TBK.
Ooh.
So it's probably a poor decision, but I won my fantasy football league this year.
Okay.
And I'd kind of
Congrats.
forgotten about it. Yeah, and so I won $400 from it.
Nice.
And while I could have put that away, there's really only one other thing like I wanted that would be spending money on. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it, and then I'm done. And I got a VR headset.
Oh, a Rift? Or a Vive?
Rift.
Okay.
And I got to say, it is... I'd used both of them before, and it's about 1,000 times better and further along than I thought with all the games, free games and stuff. There's one game that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I forgot the name of it. It's kind of like a mix between Hearthstone and chess, where there's different decks and stuff like Magic, and like you're sitting across looking over the battlefield, and you have a mana pool that you earn. You place your cards on like a checkerboard, can move them around, and it's super sick. So if VR takes off, I could see games like that becoming an esport.
I would love that.
Yeah,
That sounds
platformers
awesome.
and games like that are so much better on VR than I would have thought they would have been. It's like if you're going to play a platformer, why not just play it on a screen? Well, it's cool. It's really cool, and it's fun. So
I may have to dive into that this year.
it's really cool. And I decided to go with the Rift because it's cheaper. There was a bundle that was on sale that came with the touch controllers, and with the Rift, you can still do the room scaling stuff now, and it's more comfortable to wear. So, and it
I
seems
actually
like.
haven't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say I haven't even tried real VR yet.
It's
like
incredible.
At all.
It's
I haven't
incredible.
even seen it. I've just done the whole thing where you strap a phone to your face.
No, it's
Which
not.
that can actually still be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But it's nothing compared. It's some of the games like the graphics are insane on some of these games.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. But so I've been having a lot of fun with that. And I'm actually going to try playing Heroes because there's like virtual desktop stuff. I'm going to see if I can play Heroes
nice.
with my headset on.
It's gonna be
Interesting.
super immersive.
Yeah.
It's probably for the best that they zoomed out the camera so you can,
What are you talking about, Multi? You have to zoom in and
That's
be like first person
Yeah.
mode.
It wouldn't be
That's how
3D,
you play.
but it would be cool still.
Yes.
Anyways, but yes, Heroes, Mech, Zords, awesome, worth getting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the news. All right, so we had gotten some teasers over this last week of little pictures and whatnot. Well, it's kind of what we were expecting because the skins were teased at earlier. It is the Mecha Storm event, and along with that came the coolest Heroes of the Storm animated video we've gotten so far. I guess we've only really gotten like 2 cartoon.
I would
animation
venture to
styles.
say
Two like this, anyway.
top 3 that Blizzard has done, period.
Ooh.
I would have to think
Bold
about
statement.
that before I agree with you. It could be possible. It's definitely, I think, I don't know how they were going to top the last one with the Dreadlord Jaina and stuff, but who doesn't love mechs and Gundam and all that stuff? So it's
And the
Serious
just
80s vibes.
90s, 80s Saturday morning cartoon vibe. Very much like the Kel'Thuzad, Call of Kel'Thuzad.
yeah, that was like
Yeah.
He-Man, which
Yeah.
was super sweet, and this is the mechs. But yeah, so as we mentioned at the top of the show, we got a Rhaegar skin, which is pretty darn cool. It's neat. We got an Abathur skin, which is really neat, but I don't play Abathur. And then we got a Tyrael skin, which is just absolutely perfect. Like, he's not changed that much from like his appearance. It looks like Tyrael, but it also looks like a Gundam wing, and it's incredible. The skin tints are awesome, and I will
And-
become a Tyrael main now.
And there's Mechaterial voiceover
Yes,
announcer.
I noticed that.
I know. Yeah,
Yep.
That was a surprise.
it's really
That was
expensive.
A
huge.
nice surprise.
I
Yeah,
can't.
a
I
nice
can't.
surprise.
I can't afford it yet. I'm out of shards.
It's
Yeah.
1,600 shards though.
Yeah.
Gotta hope for that as a drop too.
You
Yeah.
can. It's cool. It's a really cool voiceover, but it is the exact same as the Tyrael voiceover. It's just has the effect
With
on
the
it.
filter.
It's the same lines,
But
and
worth
everything.
it.
It is.
Totally worth it.
Does he skip the 3 in the countdown as well?
Oh, okay. So is it just him that does that?
As far as I know, he goes 5, 4,
2, 1.
2, 1.
Okay.
Is there a reason?
Material?
I don't know. So I just noticed
Maybe
that.
the angel number system doesn't have a 3.
I just noticed that while I was playing today, and I didn't know if that was. I was using the Tyrael voiceover, but I didn't know if that was just like a game-wide bug or something. So interesting.
It might be a
three
bug.
is
Yeah. Well, I
could
would.
be, maybe good.
I would imagine it is a bug. There's no reason that skipping 3 should be on purpose, but I'm wondering if it's just for Tyrael or if it's for all of them.
Kicks and giggles. The voice actor was just like, they're like, I need you to count down from 5 to 1. And he goes 5, 4, 2, 1. Where's the 3? I don't like 3.
Well, and I need
Can you please say 3? No.
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 I need to go back and watch it again or listen to it again because it didn't seem like it skipped a beat though. It wasn't like 5, 4, 2, 1. It just went 5, 4, 2, 1. So I need to see if it lines up with the, like if it starts counting at 4 or if it starts counting at 5 and then there's still a second left after he finishes. There's so many questions. Who knows? I don't.
I genuinely don't. Got a question for you guys, though. So did you take the quiz? Are you Mecha Storm or Xenotech?
There's a quiz?
Yeah, did you not know about this thing?
I
You can
didn't.
get
I mean, it dropped like
wallpapers.
2 hours ago. So there's a, and I can give you guys the link here. There's a Mecha Storm quiz, which is one of those like personality quizzes that you go through, and you fill it out. And let's see if this works in the chat. Try that guy out. I know one of the links was dead, and then they had to kind of repost it.
Oh my gosh, there's like all this.
Begin quiz. You can do it as we do the show.
I'm
obviously.
doing it right now.
I am Mecha Storm, and I got a cool wallpaper for it, and it's being used on my desktop right now.
See, I figured you would be because you've always been such a goody two shoes. Xenotech for life. I believe that when I went through, I answered all the questions correctly when I said that I wanted to dominate all of my enemies and strike fear in their heart and command armies and blah, blah, blah.
I feel like I could do
Sounds
this
so
quiz
like you.
for you, Multi.
Yeah.
For example, first question. Neo Stormwind is under attack. How will you react? I imagine your answer was, you're the one attacking it. Be gone, puny insects.
How did you know?
I don't. Or
You
just
know what I really want now, though, is a Neo Stormwind map.
Agreed. And some fantasy behind it. Like, this is Stormwind, but in the future.
Yeah, future Stormwind.
Yeah. That'd be really
Amazing.
cool. That'd be a
Please,
cool
please.
direction to take, like, the universes, you know, as they cross over into the Nexus. It is true. The characters from the Blizzard universes can intersect with the Nexus at any given time frame. Like, you think that Arthas is in the game. Spoiler alert, he's dead in actual World of Warcraft. So obviously he came from the past. Why can't we have more stuff from the future?
yeah.
Well, wouldn't it be like it would basically be StarCraft Stormwind?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, because we got StarCraft WoW skins already. So why not StarCraft WoW themed map? Although that would kind of suck to have a StarCraft WoW themed map before we got an actual WoW themed map. But
Yeah.
I'll take what I can get, I guess.
No, guys,
Right.
I figured it out. So Neo Stormwind is what else has risen from the ashes of Titan. And we
Ooh.
will see Neo Stormwind in WoW 2, which is going to be a MMO first-person shooter futuristic game.
Where they took
This
all the
is the
assets
first
from
teaser.
Titan
Wow.
that
Yep.
they didn't use in Overwatch and
Yep.
just bring it over. I like it.
Coming
And
to
flavor it for
BlizzCon
WoW.
2018. You heard it here first, guys.
Calling it. But no.
Who would not play that? Raise your hand. That's what I thought.
Yep, no one raised their hand.
That's right, audio listeners. No one
No
ever
one
raised their
raised their
hand.
hand. And none of them at home raised their hands. So
That's right.
It's true.
throwing that one out there.
But for real, the skins are awesome. The bundle's on sale. If you own the heroes, I believe the bundle's like 2,900 or 3,200, something like that. Gems. It's pretty expensive, but it comes with a lot of different tints and things like that. So worth checking
I'll-
out.
And these
totally
are all
honest.
legit legendary skins.
Yo,
too.
yeah.
Mhm.
And to that end, like, I'm actually, because I can't swing purchasing the bundles right now, I kind of alluded to at the top of the show, I'm genuinely excited that these are just in the regular chest rotation, because now there's something I'm really looking forward to in those. You know, I mean, previously, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the game I don't have and would like, but sometimes you get a legendary and you're like, oh, that's a new tint that I don't like as much of one that I already have.
Yeah.
Meh, you know what I mean? And this will not be like that. So
Yep.
pretty exciting.
So definitely check those out. There is some more news here. Excuse me. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the cool ponies from last season and how apparently they didn't mean to or whatnot tease some of the skin tints, the rainbow skin tints in particular, and those were not part of the rewards, and people were upset. Well, the good news is those have been added on and will be the rewards now. And this makes me sad because it's my own fault. So I didn't finish my Team League placements, so I didn't get them out. And so when I found out those weren't part of it, I was super stoked. So I was like, oh, these are going to be available on the store or something. And I'll be able to buy them because they're really cool and I really want it. And now I will never be able to do that. It's gone forever
Oh no!
for me.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna get Rainbow Pony?
I will not have Rainbow Pony.
Oh,
Rainbow
or Gold
Robo
Pony.
Pony. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has
They're good
slipped
ponies.
Wow.
from my grasp and I regret it. But
Let this be a lesson, kids. Always do your 10 team league placement games.
always do 'em. It's my own fault.
The epic one was always cooler though, with
yeah.
true rainbow main.
The regular one was cool. I wasn't super excited, but that's why I was excited. Like that, I thought it was gonna be a store item because I could buy that because I would would never attain that regularly. There's also a new ARAM brawl that is out right now, and it is sweet. So it's a single lane map, per usual, but this is kind of based on the Volskaya skin, and it's more of like a Z shape. So you can come out
vertical,
you can come out your gates, and then it kind of goes left and then right to their gates, or you can come out kind of second gates on the left, and you have a circular conveyor belt type thing that each side has that's mirrored. So, and it has a camp on it, a turret camp. So it's pretty interesting. I enjoyed it.
Oh, it leads to just such interesting play. Full disclosure, though, I definitely started my first game off by thinking, oh, there's a conveyor belt here. That'll make me get into the battle faster. And I just took it, and I was just in the middle of the enemy team. Like, oh, great. But yeah, no, I loved the layout of this. I mean, I like that they just took a different direction with the ARAMs than just your, standard left to right single lane deal. I think it was just led to really interesting play. What do you think, TBK?
I had one of my most epic games I've ever played on this ARAM. It was a 28-minute ARAM, and it was just so back and forth. We were losing for the first chunk, and then we hit 10, got our power spike, and then it was just back and forth the entire time. Like by the end, Muradin freaking unkillable with a Morales. It's super, super dumb once you get into like level 25 or whatever. But I did have 135 stacks of Tyrande Owl, so that was fun. I could literally almost one-shot Morales just by hitting, or Sylvanas as well, just by hitting him. And it was just insane. Like we'd kill one or two, but it wouldn't be quite enough to push them back. And then they'd spawn, then they killed one or two of us. We'd have to retreat back to our base. It was so fun. But in saying this, Blizzard, please, for the love of all that is good, give us all of these ARAM maps in custom all the time so we can play them whenever.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand. They're so good, and we get to play them once every few months. Like, please, just put these in custom.
In particular, this one, because this is one I could see like us finishing a show and saying, hey, let's get some people together for an ARAM and pull up this map and go, which we could technically do tonight, but most nights, not so much.
Well, and it's interesting because last week we played a custom match and we did an ARAM, and the Lost Caverns was the only map. I couldn't find Silver City, which I thought was on there for a while. Like that was on there for a long while, and it seems to be gone now.
I don't know. They just need to work on their whole custom.
Yeah.
Just custom game modes in general. But I don't understand
why take it
how
away?
hard it could be to just add extra maps. That can't be that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're working on it now and they're doing it as part of like a big arcade mode button, like what Overwatch has, I could kind of see that maybe. And that might explain the lag time on this.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. But I don't know.
The thing but if it's going to be too much longer, like just give me the map.
It just seems, because we've got a laundry list of features already that they've talked about that we're still waiting on. I mean, we're still waiting on voice chat. We're still waiting on clans. We're still waiting on Hero League and Team League swaps. There's a ton of stuff we're still waiting on that they've announced. They announced like a year or so ago, and so that's the thing. Maybe something like this will come out and surprise us. But I've gotten to the point, I think, where I can't look forward to features they haven't announced because I'm still looking forward to features they already announced.
Yeah, maybe it'll go the way of appear offline and take 5 years.
Oh man,
don't say that. You just jinxed it.
Yeah,
Xenotech for life. Anyway,
yeah. In the interim, it would be really nice if they could just enable all their ARAM maps, and maybe that push the payload Hanamura special map in custom.
Well, yeah,
That would be super.
I feel like every time there's a brawl, we want just all the brawls to be added to customs, like the dodge brawl and pool party and stuff like that. You don't even have to do that, Blizzard. Like, if you want to take your time on that, that's fine. Please just give us the ARAM maps. I just want the ARAM. Because they're, especially this one, it's just really good. So
Yeah.
please. But as we mentioned, so we've talked about Megastorm, we've talked about the ARAM brawl, but there is a rework patch, and this is kind of the first I believe we've had of this, where it's a nice patch coming through where all it is a rework.
Yeah.
Not maybe we'll get some.
Is this a first where we've had nothing but a rework?
I think.
I mean,
Because I wouldn't even call this a balance patch.
No, I wouldn't either.
No, it's not. Yeah.
We've had like some tastes of their new tech where they can do this previously, with some of the hammer being reworked, but that was part of a patch of balance, that sort of thing. So yeah, this is, when I pulled this up, I was kind of like, wait, so it's just Tyrael and some bug fixes?
Yeah, it's like a new patch type, like a rework patch.
Yeah.
Because we've got balance, we've got major hero patches, and I guess now we may start getting rework patches.
Yeah, which they've talked about.
It's kind of cool.
I think I think this is our first one, which is good because it's easier to dissect and digest, I guess.
And highlight, which I think they did with this Mechastorm thing. I mean, he's got a sweet new skin to go along with it. So, I mean, that's something Blizzard said a few times, that they want to kind of have these heroes shine when they're reworked as well. And I think they've kind of done that in tandem with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Oh, totally agree. Totally agree.
So, we'll go over this. I've had a chance to play him. I think I've played today like 4 or 5 games with him. And just in quick match, haven't had necessarily ideal comps, things like that, but to get a great feel on how his new builds and stuff are going to be. But we'll go over some of the changes here real quick. First and foremost, his base max health and health regeneration has been increased by about 200, which is nice. And that's not important there. But they also kind of changed his righteousness, or didn't change it, but just made it to where it makes more sense. The allied shield amount is changed from a flat value to 40% of Tyrael's shield value. That's just going to make it easier to understand for talent interactions. A big one, fairly big, is Smite can now be cast while moving, which
Praise
feels
be.
great.
it does feel really
Now,
cool.
now Arthas, give me that death coil cast while moving.
Without the
Because
stuttering,
it feels super awkward, and this feels amazing.
It does.
You are missing one major thing, though. Something the community has actually been crying for forever. The mana cost reductions
Yes.
are actually huge on him.
And so,
I mean, it seems like not very much on paper. You just see, Eldruin's Might from 50 to 45, Righteousness 60 to 50. But seriously, like, one of the problems Tyrael had was with his just mana consumption. And now, having played him under the rework, it's not nearly as bad.
it's still pretty bad. I did notice that. At least early game. Late game doesn't seem to be a problem. But it's weird in a world where there's still, like, all the new heroes coming out don't have mana issue problems, like, at all. But there's still just a few older ones that do, and I guess it's kind of just like a balancing thing. But
it's not terrible under the new system, because his new build does have, or one of his new builds, you can build to be pretty like lane bully bruiser, and in this new post 2018 gameplay update world, now that you can do that, you can also get the enemy's globes, which does significantly decrease his like mana deficiencies that he has. So that is kind of a plus to that. If you can bully the person out of lane, like, you can get the extra mana you need, and then it's not a huge deal. And also, one thing that you didn't mention either is his passive spell armor is gone now.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's been removed
stuff
completely.
that got added in fairly recently. I mean, several months ago now, but It's gone. Interesting.
Yeah, that's
So
back
that's
whenever
probably
they.
part of the health buff,
Yeah,
I would assume.
makes
Well, and
sense.
there's talents that give different types of armor and that sort of thing too. So it all shakes out. But yeah,
But for his level 1, he's had some talent mix-ups here. Salvation actually has been moved from 16 and has new functionality. It increases the Righteousness Tyrael only shield amount by 25, and if it's destroyed, Tyrael heals for 125 health. And then there's 2 new ones. There's Justice for All, increase Righteousness allied shield value to 100% of Tyrael only shield amount, and then Ardent Restoration, damaging an enemy hero grants 2.5 health per second to Tyrael for 5 seconds, and that stacks up to 10 times. And that's the one I've tried the most of. I've been kind of trying.
same.
I've been getting a lot of Dragonshire, actually, and I feel like the sustain kind of lane bully solo laner build for him would be really good. And it seems to be pretty decent. I'm just not great at Tyrael. So I've been going with
It
that.
seems like the increased righteousness could also be a really good thing for lane bullying, just because you get that extra shield amount, and you could go hardcore with the intent of the shield breaking, because then you basically get in all the free damage on the person. They have to damage through your shield if they're fighting back, and then you get a heal on top of that afterwards. So now you're up health while the enemy is down a lot more than you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, there's talents later on where their shield explodes and does damage, which goes well with that. Level 4, he has 3 new talents. Stalwart Angel. Tyrael gains 25 armor while Eldruin's Might is out and for 3 seconds after teleporting. That is a sweet talent. I played that against a Hammer and a Vala, and I was doing super awesome, and then I realized I was playing AI. I was like, oh, well...
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm so proud that you can still beat up the AI.
That's why
Greg.
it felt good.
Well done.
So that happened.
Yes.
Bound by Law increases Eldruin's Might slow amount from 25 to 35%. Tyrael's basic attacks increase the duration of the slow by 1 second up to 4 seconds. Pretty darn neat. And then Divine Vigor. Damaging an enemy with Smite causes Tyrael's basic attacks to heal him for 50% of their damage for 4 seconds.
Which, by the way, I totally did the auto attack build originally just for the lulls, but the power spike at 20 is awesome.
It is.
Truly
It's
awesome.
ridiculous.
But it's at 20.
Yes, but it's still fun.
It is. But yeah.
Which you
I'll be hard
would
pressed to
know
do
if the
anything
game
else.
was going to go long term, probably depending on the comp you were against.
And map and things like that for sure.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, the auto attack build is fun, and that's kind of the lane bullying type one I've been going.
Sure.
Level 7 here, Purge Evil, has been moved from level 1 to here with new functionality. Every enemy hero hit by Smite increases Tyrael's basic attack damage by 30% for 4 seconds. Goes along with it. Pretty nice. Swift Retribution, movement speed bonus increased from 10 to 20%. No longer increases duration of Smite's movement speed bonus. And added functionality also causes Smite's friendly effect to increase attack speed by 25%. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
13 here, Sword of Justice, moved from 16. New functionality, can teleport with Eldruin's Might twice, returning to Tyrael's original position. It's a pretty good.
That's
one.
pretty cool.
It is. I haven't
That is pretty cool.
used it yet, but seems helpful. Especially, I wonder if you do that with Stalwart Angel. If you teleport the second time, if it kind of resets that armor buff.
Ooh, we need to test
3-second
that
That is a
buff.
good question.
because
That is
that's
a good question.
that's the way to go if you can. Then,
Yeah.
or it
I don't know.
seems like.
At least
That is potentially 6 seconds of 25 armor.
well, more than that because it's 3 seconds after you teleport, so you can have it out. You can.
It's out for a while.
Yeah, say you're
as
just
well.
in a team fight, you can throw all Druin's
That's
Might
true.
where you stand, have armor, teleport, still have armor, stay in the fight, and then teleport again, still have armor and stay in the fight. So
Yep.
interesting, very interesting.
I'll have to test that out.
And you can do what the pros are really good at doing and cycle in and out of taking damage. I mean, you could dive in, soak up whatever you can, and then just back out. It's like a sturdier Zeratul.
Yeah, which it's kind of interesting that it's just it's armor because he used to be kind of the mage dive, and they took his passive spell armor away, and now he's got the armor. So I don't know. Interesting. And I just scrolled up and down and completely lost where I was at.
Oh,
There we go.
we were on
13.
level 13. Yeah.
Yes. Holy Ground just moved from 16 to 13, and the duration has been reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. Still really cool talent. Holy Ground was not built into Tyrael originally, was he? That was a talent that was added a decent.
It was later, yeah.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Tyrael early on. I never played him while Holy Ground was a thing. So now that I am playing him, that's a freaking cool talent.
Oh yeah, it is.
I love it.
Yeah. And it's crazy that it's 13 instead of 16
Mm-hmm.
now.
And it's,
Like that is a very strong talent if you know what you're doing. You can pull off some ridiculous blocks
yeah,
with that talent.
it feels really good. Feels like it's a force wall at 13 on a short cooldown.
Right.
Granted, it only lasts 3 seconds, but
And it's smaller, but it's good.
or what's Zarya's not graviton surge,
Expulsion zone.
Yeah, expulsion zone.
Expulsion
It's
zone.
the same thing. Same size and everything. So I don't know.
It's what the pros take for sure.
And then there is also a new talent here, Law and Order. You reduce the cooldown of Righteousness by 1 second for each enemy hero hit by Smite. Righteousness increases the damage of your next Smite by 25% for each ally affected. So this is pretty neat too, because it's works in great synergy with 2 of your basic abilities. And this is what I was kind of going with the lane bullying build, because both Smite and Righteousness help with your sustain, and it's reducing the cooldown even more, which is cool. 16, got a couple new things. Burning Halo. Eldruin and Tyrael deal 15 damage per second to nearby enemies. This damage is increased by 100% for Tyrael for 3 seconds after teleporting to Eldruin. That could stack nicely kind of with your armor stuff there, getting into the fight. Horadric Reforging has been moved from 4 with new functionality. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of Eldruin's Might by 1.5 seconds. So you can potentially there just have more armor up faster if you're going that route. And then Smite the Wicked. Smite's cooldown recharges 100% faster while Eldruin is out, and for 3 seconds after teleporting to Eldruin. These are just, it's really cool. Really cool build.
Yeah, it is.
And then 20, finally here, we have Defense Against the Angel, or Defense of the Angels. You activate to reduce all incoming damage by 40% for 5 seconds. Any time Tyrael or an ally shielded by Righteousness takes damage, you reduce the cooldown by 3 seconds. It's a 120-second cooldown. Seal of Eldruin. Every time Tyrael casts a basic ability, increases attack speed by 50% for 3 seconds. This is, of course, the spike in his auto attack build, and it is a spike.
Oh, it's so fun. And he looks so cool, too. The animation and just the sound effects of just beating the heck out of everybody. Yeah, this is... I'm going to be hard-pressed to not go that route at 20.
Although, Defense of the Angels synergized with Justice for All at level 1, where you increase all the ally shielding up to the shielding you're getting. That's a lot more damage that allies could take from the shielding to reduce your cooldown that much further, depending on who all you get in it while it's casting.
Yeah.
Does it matter how much is absorbed, or is it just...
Yeah, because once the shield
times?
goes away, they're not taking damage onto the shield anymore.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
the longer the shield lasts, the more damage they can take onto the shield, which would equal larger cooldown reductions.
Okay, that's probably the smart route, but I'm going to advocate for the not smart route.
Well,
Just tell you.
That's not that's
fun-
bad.
we
That's
want
the
the
fun
fun
route. Mine is like the little min-maxing in level 1 to level 20 ridiculousness.
and it just depends, what your composition and everything is. Like our fun auto attack build isn't the thing to go if you're the only warrior. I've tried it a couple times. Doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I will say this though, he's a really good solo laner, as you've been alluding to, and so is Blaze, which we'll get to later in the episode here. But I definitely had that duel. It was me versus Blaze, and we actually, I think the guy started to get upset with how much I was harassing him, so he went all in, and so did I. And Tyrael won, like by far. I had him on the ropes. Against Blaze.
Nice.
In like a lane duel.
Yeah.
To the death.
Tyrael does some damage. He really does.
He does. I had a couple face-offs. He can hold his own against Butcher pretty well. He can hold his own against Garrosh. Garrosh is more of a stalemate. No one really dies. You just keep standing there hitting each other and spinning mana. So I wouldn't suggest it, but you could if you wanted to, I guess. But yeah, overall, I'm super excited for this rework and to kind of see what direction it goes, where he's going to be used, and just see more mecha materials in game because it's a cool skin.
For sure.
Yes. It's amazing. And even the Hearthstone animation, the Hearth animation for it is incredible.
Yeah, they put a lot of work into that one.
Everything about that skin is so good.
Yeah, and I'll say this now, and I know everyone wants mech skins for everybody, and I don't know necessarily why this one I want it to be my next, but Sylvanas. I think Sylvanas could have a cool mech skin with like a built like an arm crossbow type thing, shoots like a arrow of light or something. But then I realized it's probably a really bad idea because Sylvanas is super broken right now, and that would just encourage more people to buy her and play her. And I don't want that because I want to play her.
We did come up with a good way to fix her, though, last episode.
We did.
I thought about it more during the week, and the more I thought about it, the more I liked it.
We did. And
agreed.
Yeah, it could be really good.
We'll see. But I am.
Did you guys notice, while we're talking about mechas, that there are a ton of mecha sprays of other characters?
I haven't
seen all of them. No. Mm-hmm.
So like there's Ragnaros, and like there was like probably a dozen at least sprays of mecha characters, if you haven't looked yet, that are not all of the mecha characters that are released already. Like there's a bunch of sprays of ones that don't have mecha skins. Please, Blizzard, just finish them off.
Just do them all.
Like no one cares how many mecha skins you release. We'll buy them all.
Yeah. I would love to release them all at once, but that's too much money to drop. So continue to do it in these little spurts here, but just make sure we get them all. That'd be fine. That's all for the news this week. But we do have some news, finally, for competitive scene. So we'll go ahead and hop on into the HGC. All right, TVK, we've been talking about this a lot. So
this is funny.
What do we got?
Because I complained about this last week, so maybe and it came out, and then we talked about the mecha skins the other week, and then they came out the next week. So maybe we have magical powers, and the custom maps, because we mentioned it this week, will be released next week with a patch. It'll just be a balance patch, but it'll say, just because for some reason we decided to, we added all the custom maps, all the custom ARAM maps to the custom mode.
Wait, what?
That'd be nice. Yeah. No,
Hopefully.
he's saying we've now foreseen the future again.
Yeah, it's foreseeing. But it also makes sense because it kind of had to be announced this week, seeing as HGC starts this weekend. But the Open Division news is finally here. And honestly, guys, it was worth the wait. So Open Division is coming back, and Blizzard is partnering with Heroes Hype to run the Open Division, and I could not be happier
It's
about
really cool.
that. Heroes Hype has been an absolutely amazing fan organization for the past several years. They've been doing tournaments for a long time. They have an amazing staff and volunteers of admins and just coordinators and people to run this thing. This thing, Open Division, will most likely go the smoothest it has ever gone because of this decision.
So good on Blizzard for doing it. And it just makes sense. Let's get the people who are super passionate about it and have been doing it so long and have the experience. It just makes sense.
Yeah,
right.
It makes total sense.
Yeah,
total sense. And remember, Open Division, this is the thing that will give you a chance to get to the Crucible to actually become an HGC team. And so just like last year, there will be open cups, weekly open cups, to earn a chunk of the weekly $1,000 prize pool. The money's nice. The points are nicer because they see the Open Division playoffs where the winning team advances to compete in the Crucible. So Heroes Hype's going to be running it. And I believe it's going to start. Let's see. North American and European Open Division will no longer alternate weekends and will run on the same days. So that's new for this year. European Open Division Cups will begin at 9 a.m. Pacific, while North America will be starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
It starts January 29th, it says at the end.
Yes, January 29th. And Grubby and Tetcher, who casted the EU side last time, will be doing that again. And then Solid Jake will be casting with Curtis Lloyd, a.k.a. Kala. And if you watched any of the Heroes Hype tournaments or seen his community coaching videos, he's done a lot of casting stuff. So big grats to him for moving up into the next tier of caster divisions. It's really awesome to see Blizzard recognize that. So I'm excited. There should be some really good open division stuff this year.
For sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. So if you want to sign up for Open Division, heroeshype.com/Open Division. That's got all the info you're going to need on everything, registration and whatnot, Twitter, Discord, etc. So go over there to check out the rules and if you want to sign your team up. Also, speaking of announcements, HGC proper has an announcement, and there's some awesome stuff and then some maybe sad stuff for a little bit for some people. This year, J-How is going to assume a permanent role on the HGC NA desk. So huge grats to him. He worked really, really hard last year, and he's come a long way. He does fantastic high-level analysis. So he's certainly going to bring some very good informational knowledge to the HGC. Over the first half of Phase 1, he's going to be joined by Gilly, who will then tag in Dreadnought to take her place for the second half of Phase 1. And then Kaldor and Trixler will be, again, returning to the desk to do HGC Europe. And so I know it's really exciting that J-How's in. I know there were some people that were just like, oh, no, why is Blizzard breaking up, Dreadweed or Gilly Knot or however you want to clash them together. They've actually come forward on Twitter and have said that it's actually due to their busier schedules this year and just scheduling conflicts. But they really wanted to do HGC stuff, so Blizzard was kind enough to work with them so that they could still do casting. It's just not going to be necessarily the same time during the week-to-week matches. Although I believe Gilly mentioned that they will see Gilly Reed, not Dreadweed, whatever you want to call it.
I like Dreadweed.
Dreadweed? Okay, we'll call it Dreadweed.
Dreadweed Blaze 420.
Again. And so I assume that's probably going to be at the clashes. Or I assume they'll probably still be casting at some of the big lands. So we will get to see them, but it is really cool to see J-How getting recognition from last year, and I think he'll be a great addition to the desk.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've had him on the show a couple of times here, and especially with the last one, he talked about all the preparation and studying he does to prepare. And I think he puts in the most, or if not the most, just as much work and preparation as anyone else out there in the scene. So huge congrats to him.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so remember, guys, our wait is over. HGC starts this Friday. NA starts at 4:00 p.m. Central Time, which would be 2 Pacific. And it will be Old Gods versus Gale Force Esports, and Looking for More Esports versus Space Station Gaming. And I believe, and I don't have it pulled up right now because it just literally happened like an hour ago, I believe Old Gods just got sponsored as well.
By who?
That's what I don't have pulled up right now. So why don't you guys talk about HGC for a second? Casually go look this up.
The shame is, if they are sponsored, Old Gods was just such a sweet moniker. I mean, it's a reference to World of Warcraft, right? You're familiar with the old gods. Did you read Chronicle 1 yet, Gizmo? Huh?
I keep meaning to do that. I have it. I looked at all the cool pictures, but I really do want to read it because the World of Warcraft lore is something I've not been super good on.
I haven't been until literally like the last year is when I finally started picking it up. And now I just finished the Illidan book. So that's a pretty good time. It actually was a good setup for Legion that kind of sucked that I had already seen the end of Legion by the time I finished the book. But hey, whatever. It's all good.
Okay, I got it,
we're not
guys. I got
stalling.
it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Simplicity.
Okay.
Simplicity
Okay.
Esports. So they will be sponsoring the Old Gods team. So that's King Caffeine, Hosty, Zuna, K1 Pro, and Arrow. Which
Nice.
I completely agree with you, Multi. I'm gonna be really sad to lose that logo because that logo
Yes.
was really, really cool.
Got the eye
I was
of
just about to say that.
Bethune in the
I wanted it on a
banner.
in-game banner and spray so bad. They could have done so much cool stuff with it, but
Is
we don't even get to see it.
do we know, is this Simplicity? It sounds familiar, but is this their first esports team, or are they coming from other games? Do we know?
They have 11,000 followers
Okay,
on
so
their
they're
Twitter,
obviously
so I
coming from something else.
assume, yeah,
I
I
wanna
assume they're coming from something else.
I want to say maybe I've seen that in CS:GO. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but it is cool to see new orgs coming in. That's really exciting. It's always fun to see new orgs jumping in, and this would, if you listen to our show 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, that means they have attained / bought the slot from these guys for HGC.
And we may have lost that cool logo, but fear not. We still have Team 12 logo, which is a crying cat.
Yes, it is.
It's a crying cat. It
In
is.
fact, it is.
I don't
I'm gonna
understand, but I
Roll.
approve.
I'm gonna miss the Roll20 logo. I really liked it.
It is good.
Well, yeah, but
Hopefully, we'll see it again.
But yes, we'll have plenty of to watch this weekend with HGC, the Hearthstone Worlds, and Overwatch League, which obviously
insane.
HGC takes priority. So
I think it's the best month in Blizzard esports maybe ever. I'll just throw out ever.
Big month.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
a very big month.
Yeah, Overwatch League has been awesome. I've been watching that. My team sucks.
Yeah, me too.
But it is what it is.
Who'd you
That
choose? Florida.
May-
Yeah, Florida. Which I knew.
Yeah.
They only have 6 people on the roster. It's the dumb choice. Why would you do that? But hey, Swoosh is cool. He's okay with me. And he has my favorite. He created my favorite GIF ever for Twitter now. So it's all right. But we have more to talk about. We haven't done one of these in a while, I feel like. At least maybe it's just because I've been gone. I don't know. But we have a hero of the week. So let's
You
go
did
ahead.
miss the last one.
Did I? Did you guys do? Who was
Yeah, we did it with Ro.
Who?
Yeah.
Hanzo.
Man, it's
no,
been.
was it?
Yeah,
it was
yeah, it was
Hanzo.
Hanzo.
Hanzo
yeah, that
was-
seems like a long time ago. Wow.
It does seem like a long time ago.
it was like a year ago.
Hanzo, what?
By calendar.
Last
reckoning.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, hero of the week. Let's do that.
Hero of the Week.
All right, Blaze, the Firebat from StarCraft, in the game as of last week. We've played him, we've talked about him, we've dissected him, and now we're gonna build him. Yeah. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, or if you're struggling finding a build, at least give you an idea or two of what to do here. We're mainly going to be going over a tank build for him, but we can talk about some other talents as well. Real quickly, let's go over his trait abilities, things like that. Pyromania is going to be his trait here with 25 armor. Or you gain 25 armor, deal 40 damage to nearby enemies every half a second for 4 seconds. And it looks really cool. Each hero hit by Flame Stream reduces Pyromania's cooldown by 5 seconds. So Flame Stream is going to be his Q. The fire 2 streams that deal 83 damage to enemies hit. Flame Stream ignites oil spills it comes in contact with, which leads to his W, oil spill. Dispense a slick of oil that lasts for 5 seconds and slows enemies that come in contact with it by 40%. Oil spills are ignited for 2.5 seconds when hit by Flame Stream. Ignited oil spills no longer slow enemies, but instead deal 18 damage to them every 0.3 seconds. Additionally, Blaze is healed for 49 health every 0.3 seconds while standing in ignited oil spills, stores up to 2 charges. Whew, I feel like that's the most text we've had on a basic ability.
That's a really long basic ability text.
That's like League of Legends basic ability text. They've typically stayed away from that, but not on that one. And then his E, jet propulsion, after half a second, charge forward, colliding with an enemy hero, dealing 52 damage, and stunning them and nearby enemy heroes for 1.25 seconds. So a really cool basic kit there. And then his...
And that's a big stun range too.
Yeah.
That thing is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get a.
Just had to point
nice
that out
people.
because, yeah, sometimes you don't realize how many people you can get within a circle, or if you're too near, don't be near your friend when he gets charged.
Yeah, I could actually see that being nerfed because there are so many times where you're just trying to chase somebody down or something to stun them, and you end up stunning 3 or 4 people. It's a little crazy, and it doesn't. If you think about it, it doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you hit one dude? Stun everyone else around him. I don't know. It's the Nexus.
Just such a powerful impact.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, if anything, it would push the other people away because of the airstream you're creating. I don't know. His heroics, anyways, we got bunker drop, where you, after half a second, deploy and enter a bunker with 1,305 health. Blaze and his allies can enter and exit bunker at will. While in the bunker, occupants gain access to flamethrower, dealing 179 damage to enemies in a line. Exiting the bunker grants 25 armor for 2 seconds. Bunker lasts 10 seconds or until destroyed. That's another one. And this is another one too. Heroics. Combustion. Channel up for up to 2.6 seconds. Upon ending, slow nearby enemies by 60% and deal 48 damage to them every half second. Combustion slow and damage over time duration is extended the longer Blaze channels, from 1 second up to 5. Blaze's movement speed is reduced by 50% while channeling. And that is the one we talked about last week. You got to be real careful with because that can get interrupted. Super.
And that's
easy.
a lot of text too.
Yeah, I don't know what they're... Blaze, you need to chill out, man. Chill out.
Hey, he's a complicated guy, but once you get to know him, you know, he'll love you a long time.
Okay. If you say
Burn
so,
in
I'll
love.
take your word for that. I don't know. But
He's also, I want to throw in real quick here, he's the
No
official
flame.
mascot of Kansas City. Just flat out, because here
Barbecue?
in Kansas City, where we all are, yes, it is always barbecue time, and barbecue's better than anywhere else in the world, so it's fitting.
So you're saying he lights our barbecue fires?
Yep,
he,
all
okay.
around the city.
I'm good with that.
Barbecue time.
we should... Here's the idea. Short
Okay.
tangent, promise. The Zords are going to open up a barbecue arcade and called Blaze It. And then this is going to be our mascot. Got your barbecue, you got your arcade games, you got your PCs, you got your consoles. You can run tournaments, and it's going to be Nexus themed.
I like it.
He could have a skin. Barbecue
had this
Master
thought. Yeah.
Blaze.
No, and he actually is the barbecue grill. I was actually going to bring that up next.
He's got an apron on.
No, but he is the grill. Like, his shoulders open up to sizzling meat.
And he has an
dances.
apron on
Yeah.
that says, I love barbecue. Or like kiss the cook or something ridiculous like that.
Hey, they did barbecue Soldier 76 in Overwatch, so there is a precedent.
I don't know what they would do for like
love it.
oil spill. Or...
Dude, I thought of that too. I'm telling you, I thought of this.
Charcoal?
It's baked beans.
Ooh.
Barbecue baked beans that are just bubbling.
Okay, yeah.
Or the grease trap.
You got that locked down. Okay. All right. But as you said, this is going to be kind of a tank build here. But he does play Bruiser pretty well. For level 1 TBK, what are we going to be going with?
So this is probably one of his most flexible tiers. When I'm the main tank, I like to go endurance stim pack, which you activate to gain a shield that absorbs 450 damage over 5 seconds with a 40-second cooldown. He's got some other really good ones too. Neural stim pack is decent. That's 40-second cooldown as well. You gain 50 mana when you activate it, and it causes ability cooldowns to recharge 100% faster for 5 seconds. So that can actually do somewhat the same thing as the shield does in kind of a different way, whereas the shield's like, boom, there's that instant damage absorption. This is, okay, now I can get more oil slicks out, more flames to recharge my trait, and more healing because there's more flames out on a continuous basis.
Yeah.
Mana to cast them.
Yeah, I mean, really all these talents are good. New habits, I haven't really used. I haven't seen it used much. But for the main tank, endurance impact definitely makes sense.
Neural stim pack kind of does as well, even for tanking. It just kind of depends on comps and style and that sort of thing. But both are fine. And actually, interestingly, on Heroes Hearth, where we're pulling a lot of this from, the stats are tied. They're both 36.4% picked, according to their stats.
Yeah.
Neural stim pack and endurance, that is.
Yep.
So.
Surprised to kind of see adrenaline stim pack only at 9.1%. That's kind of, I use that a lot when I'm going, if I'm off tank.
It is pretty good. I mean, it's
enjoy
not
it.
even really about the attack speed as much as the movement, I don't think. But the attack speed is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the animation just makes it, again, just looks like you're hosing people.
For sure.
It's actually gotten me out of sucky situations too.
Yeah. It's
Just like Multi said, the move speed, because you don't really have a retreat unless you have a clear line of sight for your charge. But if anybody's in the way, you're just going to hit them and run into them. So sometimes it's better to pop the movement speed, and you can just get that extra ways away you need to, and then even charge off.
Yep. Exactly. Multi, for our tank build here, what are we going to be going with at level 4?
So level 4 is a pretty clear-cut one, I think. It's adhesive Wow, I can't talk tonight. Have you guys noticed that? I don't get
Are
a
you
lot
getting
of
ready to
sleep
cast a
these
Harry
days.
Potter spell on us? Patronus?
Expecto
Patronum.
Petroleum.
That's the name of this episode. Adhesive.
Expecto Petroleum.
Expecto Petroleum.
I love
Oh,
it.
yeah. Okay, sounds good. I need to trip over my words more often, guys. All right, adhesive is the talent, and it's one in which enemies standing in oil spill, when it is ignited, are slowed by 30% for 2.5 seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot. And I mean, the area that they're standing in isn't huge unless you go more of an oil build moving forward. But it does pay off. I mean, again, the longer they're taking those ticks, the longer you're affecting their movement, the more on top of them you are. I mean, you can kind of sidle around them and get better body blocks off and that sort of thing. So I'm a fan. I mean, this is a decent tier, but as soon as I took this, I didn't really take much else. I have messed with oil dispersal, though, which is kind of nice. Increases the area by 20% and slow them out by 10. And that can be good. I mean, especially if you go super hard into the oil later on in the build, you can kind of notice the difference there. But I don't know. Adhesive's good.
Yeah, adhesive is definitely the way to go. Although I will give a shout out to Meltdown here. I have had some luck with that against melee heavy comps. And that is where hitting an enemy hero with Pyromania reduces their damage dealt by 5% for 2.5 seconds up to 30%. So if they have a dive comp or melee heavy, if you can get in there, you can pretty much they're not going to be able to melt your team down, which is great.
Yeah.
And
one
little mini tip while we're here. I see so many people throw out their oil slicks and just light them instantly. And you have to remember that the oil slick does slow, but as soon as it is ignited, there is no slow anymore. And so that's why this talent is so strong, is because it does give you that slow while the fire is burning. If you don't take this talent, you can use your oil slicks and not just light them right away too. They can be extremely strong for either zoning people or just throwing in a line as people are retreating to slow them down and not necessarily lighting them on fire.
Yeah. So if your team has a lot of damage, then oil dispersal might be a good way to go just for that extra crowd control. Level 7 here, we're going to be going Grill and Kill. This is a quest where damage enemy heroes with ignited oil spills 60 times. The reward, you increase oil spills ignite duration by 2 seconds and damage by 25%. So that is a lot. 2 seconds and 25%. Plus, this is a fairly easy quest to complete quickly. Those ticks happen, every 0.3 seconds. So they go up there, especially in team fights. A lot of people, it's really hard to see the oil on the ground. You ignite it, even if they immediately recognize it. Especially if you went with adhesive petroleum, you're going to get a decent amount of ticks going there. So overall,
so much more healing for you too.
Yeah. Which is, I think, key to him right there. I wonder if there's certain maps where it's harder to see the oil than others, and if that plays into it. I just had that thought as you were saying that. Anyway.
I have gone Crossfire a few times. It's not worth it. after
Yeah.
That's what I went first, and then switching over to Grill and Kill. It's the way to go.
Yeah. This is the one tier I'd almost. Oh, go ahead, Multi.
I was gonna say the problem with Crossfire is that the flame streams are so wide. Like, I think it'd be hard to hit certain enemies.
It's not just because the inner part has to hit them. It's really not as hard as you'd think, but you
just don't get a ton of value out of it.
Yeah, and that being on a longer cooldown. I mean, you finish this, you're getting the slows, you're getting increased slows and more damage,
right?
AOE damage, which is good.
Yeah, I think this is the one tier where I would say Blizzard probably needs to buff the other two talents. Not because this one is so good, because it's good for sure. It's not necessarily overpoweringly good or anything. It's just that it is way better than the other two talents in this tier. This is like his only tier where this is my 100% grab every time.
Yeah. I would like to see them do something else with Crossfire, maybe make that a quest talent, where instead of hitting both enemies or an enemy with both streams, it deals bonus damage, to maybe just, hit a certain amount of enemies with it and it increases damage the more you hit. I don't know. But something, because it's a cool ability, but really it's pretty much used to ignite the oil, and that's about it. Level 10 TBK.
So most of the time we're going to be going with combustion, and you already mentioned how both of them work. But combustion is really interesting because you have to be very watchful before you start channeling it, because as we mentioned earlier, it can be interrupted by a single stun, and then boom, you're on the full cooldown. So you have to really be watching other heroes' abilities and kind of gauge when is the best time to use it. It can do decent damage. Sometimes you don't want to wait the entirety of it to actually blow it up, because you'll get more people in it. And remember, even if you get less damage, you still get that slow going. And that is a big slow when you're chasing people down or when you're trying to get some crowd control going. So make sure you watch that. Bunker, a little more situational. It can be very strong, especially on capture point maps, because you'll be able to jump in, or your allies will be able to jump in and not even necessarily use it, but they can pop out on whatever side they want. They can clear any damage over time effects on them, and they get 25, or I think it's 25 armor, right? Yeah, 25 armor as they're exiting for 2 seconds. That's a pretty big deal. Just like a hop in, hop out, especially if you're up against Lunara, if you're up against, say, Azul that went Poison Nova. Zul pops Poison Nova on the point. Oh no, everyone's poisoned. Bunker, and instantly gone. Just negated your ult. So there's definitely a time and place for it, but it is a little more niche than the combustion is.
Yeah,
and it's best with a coordinated comp that can make good use out of it. In that way, it kind of reminds me of Morales's medevac drop, in the sense that you kind of have to have a plan behind it too, I think. Unless you're just countering Poison Nova or something like that.
Yeah. 13 here, Multi.
13, it's kind of a situational one. I'll shout out to a couple of the ones I like, but Fuel Leak, I think, is the one we would lean toward. And typically this is one that kind of makes sense. And on Hero's Hearth, it's the clear winner. So basically, jet propulsion creates oil spills along Blaze's path. So you just create a spill as you go. And then, of course, if jet propulsion impacts an enemy hero, an additional oil spill is created underneath them. So it's just more oil, which you can then light on fire for more damage and healing. And that's kind of the bread and butter of how to play him. So, I mean, you just can't go wrong there. I will say I've actually tried it in the past in conjunction with, at level 7, Incinerator Gauntlets, which we kind of said 7 was a tier that the other ones are weaker, but there is a place for this because this is the one where your basic attack area goes up, but then you can also basic attack splashes ignite the oil spills. So it's kind of easy to get that spill lit on fire, like the one that was behind you as well as the one in front of you. I don't know. There's something there, but one I do want to shout out though is suppressive fire. So pick rate's pretty low. This is the one where your flame stream reduces spell power of heroes hit by 15% for 4 seconds up to 30%. But I've found that if you take that and you go Juggernaut Plating, which is coming up in 16, you can be super anti-mage like a Nubarak levels anti-mage. And I definitely had a game where I was in a comp against, the only damage on the team was a Li Ming and a Naz. Not even a contest. So
Yeah.
there's something there too.
Well, and I honestly, I really like nanomachine coating as a talent. So enemies that are standing in oil spills have their attack speed reduced by 40% for 2.5 seconds. But I almost wish it was on a different tier because it would synergize extremely well with Fuel Leak.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think Fuel Leak's the...
Maybe that's why.
I know, but
Probably.
you know, I mean, I guess if you're still, like I said, if you're going up against a melee heavy comp, nanomachine coating can be great still. You can cover a whole bunch of ground there, either force them to retreat or just kind of slow them down. But it's
I think they're
it's
all
kind of
viable.
situational. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only
Depends.
beef
Just depends
with,
the comps.
my only beef with the coding is that people are trying to move out of it anyway. So this just gives them more of a reason to do what they were already doing. So I could see why its pick rate's a little low.
Yeah.
And it's situational. But yeah, anyway.
16 here, we're going to be going heat treatment for this build. You heal for 75% of the damage dealt by Pyromania. So again, that's your trait, and it's a pretty decent amount of
It's
healing.
insane.
It's kind of like
If you're
Dahaka's-
standing on a fiery oil spill, it's
Dahaka's.
crazy.
What's Dahaka's regener?
Why are you making me forget things now?
You know, the Dahaka thing, the healing thing. It's kind of like that, except you're dealing damage too.
Right.
But it's good.
Adaptation.
Adaptation. There
There
you
it
go.
is.
What's the other one called? Let's test you.
The other
Uh,
heroic?
yeah, it's
Isolation.
Yeah,
isolation.
there you go. Okay.
Adaptation and isolation.
Very good.
Yeah. I thought you were just talking about his general essence healing, and I don't remember the name of that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. But it's a good down.
You win $100 in Heroes Trivia.
Level 20 here, TBK.
So this one, it's unless you go the auto attack build, which can be okay. You have Burn Notice, which basic attacks slow enemies by 5% and deal additional damage over 2.5 seconds, and they stack. That can be really good, especially if you're fighting against heavy melee. But Flash Fire, his upgrade for combustion, can be very, very good too, because it doesn't slow your movement speed anymore while you're channeling combustion, which helps you to get the whole value out of it. And not only that, enemy heroes are slowed by 60% while it's being channeled and afterwards. So you can really just get this entire team, everybody slow down type thing going. And then see, Bunker. I've honestly never taken Fortified Bunker, but you can cast Oil Spill from it if you are inside. And Bunker's armor bonus exiting is increased by 25 and gets an extra second duration, which is actually really powerful.
I just want to see what it's
a lot
like
of armor.
when 5 people are in there throwing out oil and casting
Oil,
fire.
and then
how much fire
yes,
is that?
Dude, it's a
That's
big
so
hot
much
box,
fire.
is what it is.
It's like
Yep.
at that point, you would almost just want your team in the bunker while you're standing out and they're all throwing fire and oil on you. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of bunker. I get it's situational, but
It
it's
looks
I love
really
the flavor.
cool, though.
it does. It does.
And maybe it'll get another health buff
yeah.
By
But
5.
by 5.
by 5. So it'll be what 13-10. It's great. Just recap real quick for those since we kind of jumped around here. For a tank build, we're going with Endurance Stim Pack, Expecto Petroleum or Adhesive Petroleum, Grill and Kill, Combustion, Fuel Leak, Heat Treatment, and Flash Fire. It's good stuff.
Sounds good.
Stuff. But I think there's been a lot of people play Blaze. I think he's probably gotten one of the better receptions as of late for a hero release, as far as people
for
going
sure.
out and playing him. So, which I'm super stoked.
People
for.
I know who don't play very much, like even Tank Zord was just all about him.
Mhm.
Just loves him. So, that's really good to see for sure.
It's really it's good. So let us know what you guys think of the build. If you guys have any other ideas for if you've had any luck with a main tank build, or shoot us your bruiser builds that you like. I know in chat we saw some people that really like Crossfire, which it can be good. It can.
He has
So
decent
tips,
wave
though.
clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go. There's a tip. He has decent wave clear. You can get, if you aim it right, you can get the oil spill pretty much into the entirety of the minion wave as long as they haven't moved around, for one reason or another, and burn them through. Because remember, his basic attacks do AoE damage, kind of splash damage as well. So that's nice. Throw down your oil slick, light it up. You can kind of stand in the middle-ish, hit several of them, get healing at the same time, and they go down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
I guess my tip or just something to work on if you're new to them is the vector casting can be weird if you haven't used it before. There's not a ton of abilities in the game that have the vector casting, but just to get the most out of that for your oil spills, especially if you're kind of going more of a bruiser build, especially as a lane bully, making sure that you're getting both the oil spill on you and whoever you're attacking, so that when you light it, it's doing damage and healing. Is really good. And just for throwing that down, whether you're escaping or trying to finish somebody off, the angles can make all the difference on how you cast that. Any other last tips, tricks?
Yeah, to build onto that, I've been trying to think about how, he feels really strong to me, and I feel like you can even solo tank in some situations with him. But, as is the case with some of these newer heroes, of course, aren't fully reflecting it just yet. I don't know what it is currently. It may have gone up a little bit since I last checked it. But so I've been trying to think of, why this is the case and all that. And I've narrowed it down to just from the feel of playing him. I think that, and this is kind of what you were talking about there, Gizmo. I think that lighting the oil slick is a huge decision every time you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think about it, like if you want to get the most value, like your ideal situation is, just charging in with the jet propulsion, getting the stun off, putting an oil spill down to where it not only you walk through the entire duration while it's on fire, but so does your enemy as they're fleeing, and then you kill them at the end. Like that's your best case scenario. But I think what happens throughout the game is it just doesn't work that way every time. So you see some blazes that really try to just use it as a harass. You see some people just try to save it for wave clear. And then you see some, which I think, in my just estimation of it so far, what seems to be the correct move is to really use it for the lane sustain and like group fight sustain. Because in the end, I mean, yes, you're damaging them with the fire, and that's nice. Some of these talents we even called to, like when you finish the quest, you're doing more damage, sure. But you're just not doing as much damage as the Li Ming on your team, or the Vala, or the insert damage carry here, right? So to me, the fire is more about self-sustain than it is harassment or wave clear. And I think that there's a case to be made for, think through an enemy team pushing up to your wall, right? Like, what do? Do you throw the oil out and then light it on fire to push the wave back? In some cases, yeah, probably. But let's say you're at a quarter health and you're kind of worried they're going to push the wall down you and the fourth that you're standing next to. I think there's a case for trying to just light the fire at your feet and stand in it, get up to like third health or so, and then defend it that way. So I think somewhere in there is the nuance as to why the win rate's a little bit lower. And I think as more people figure out how to get the most out of that sustain, the better off they'll be. Honestly, like he reminds me of how I used to feel about Arthas at the very beginning, in that he was super lane sustain, could push well, had a lot of self-healing, and I think he just does a lot of that very well, and I think that's where his strengths are going to lie. So
Yeah.
totally-
There's definitely a lot of
totally
decision making
agree.
when it comes to it. I actually have a question here. So, oil spill lasts for 5 seconds, and if you ignite an oil spill, it lasts for 2.5 seconds. And this isn't something I've really checked. If you ignite an oil spill right after you cast it, does it disappear after 2.5 seconds? Does it burn up, or does
Yes.
it?
I
Okay.
seem to think so. Yeah.
If you
Yes.
if you set it on fire at say 4.5 seconds, is it only on fire for half a second, or is it on fire
No.
for another 2.5 seconds?
It starts whenever you light it. So they're two separate.
Okay,
Two
so you
separate
can
deals.
technically extend the oil spill then by 2.5 seconds.
Kind of. Remember, you have to take the talent to still get the slow out of it.
Yes.
Well, but the point is, if you don't have that talent, you could leave the slow up for longer, then finish
Exactly.
it off with the burn.
okay.
yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
was just wanting to check there.
Yeah.
Um,
And a lot of times, to kind of add on to what Multi was saying, I've totally in some matches, especially with Grill and Kill at 7, once I've got that completed, gone into the battle, tanked a bunch of damage, pop your Pyromania as you're going in, so that when you hit, you not only have the extra armor, or right after you hit, you get the extra armor, you get the damage around the person who you hit, plus any melee who might come to their aid. And then once you've taken some of that damage, you can actually even back off just a little bit. And especially with the Grill and Kill quest done, you can throw that down. And that is a ton of healing once you have that extra duration. It's insane.
yeah, there's like I said, there's a lot you can do with his kit that I think is really cool. It's not just 3 basic abilities. There's a lot of decision making and choices to make, just pertaining on the situation, which is neat, and one of the reasons I enjoy him.
For sure.
I feel like he's probably the most flexible talent tree in the game right now, as far as being able to just pick talent situationally and not say, hey, here's his build. I think he's probably, if not the most, one of the top 3 be reactive talent trees that Blizzard has made in the entire game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree.
For sure.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on here to community content shout out. TPK, what do you got?
So this week it's exciting because Hawkray is back with a new video, and it's about Cassia, and it's incredible as always. So I will link that in the show notes and in our chat as well. It's really funny, guys. Like, Hawkray always puts out absolutely quality content. Anytime he releases a new video, you should go sub to his channel, check him out, because they're always entertaining.
There. Plus, he's a super cool dude. Super nice.
Yes.
I just played Cassia for the first time today in one of my ARAMs in a long time. I had fun with her.
I was about to say, first time ever? Wasn't that?
No. I really just played her kind of at launch and then kind of fell off. So
Oh, me too, honestly.
it was nice to be a player again.
She's just kind of has disappeared.
Yeah.
I feel like she was a hero that came in and she was released with the 2.0 update.
Right.
And so I feel like she was in some ways kind of lost within that giant patch where not only 2.0 came out, but a ton of other stuff happened too. And she was just kind of the one that snuck under the radar, and I just don't really see her a whole lot.
Well, and Genji kind of stole the show.
Oh, yeah. As he tends to do in both games,
Yeah.
frankly.
So, It was good to play her again. But we do have some emails to get caught up on this week, as well as a new one for this week. So let's go ahead and hop on into those. All right, first one is from last week from Core Zord here, also known as Core Gaming. Multi, what do we got?
Okay, so Core Zord writes, I have a response to some of the PTR discussion. I think to fix the issue of how to get more people to test new stuff on PTR is actually to bring the PTR to them. Rather than having a PTR, instead we have a test period on live servers. For example, a new hero is released on the live servers, and then for the first week, they're not playable and ranked. But they are playable in all other modes, and after any match, the player playing the new hero has an in-client pop-up that requests feedback for the new hero. And the message can be whatever Blizzard wants it to be for them to get the most useful information about the hero. And then at the end of the first week, Blizz can analyze the data and determine if the test period needs to be extended. And then he adds, for new in-game features such as a new map, Blizzard needs to start utilizing the Brawl mode for that. He didn't want to get too detailed because he was just trying to get this typed for the show in case someone decides to read it. This was last week, so we totally didn't read it last week. But it's still a good input now. This has not gone stale.
Yep.
Like my half-eaten bag of Doritos right here has. Anyway, so okay. So what he's trying to say here, though, is that testing stuff like this is really important, but he thinks that pulling players away from the main game is a bad model. He admits his way may not be the best way, but there's got to be a way to test new content and new heroes without pulling them away from the main game. And adds, I would love to be able to test the new heroes and provide feedback for them, but I don't have time to get on PTR. I barely have time to play much heroes and cannot waste the time I do get to play by playing on the PTR. Even with small rewards, not going to be worth it. And super good point at the end there. I mean, we've talked rewards so much, and unless it truly is worth it, there's still going to be so many people that just don't. So I think there's some legs to this, though. My initial reaction on it, the trick is I would have to think about like whether or not the person has to be invested in that hero to be able to play them. Like, would you have to have already purchased them with gold or money, or gems, or whatever to be able to do this kind of testing? Because in my mind, then, yeah, sure, actually this kind of works for me because you're already invested in it. My fear is that if people could just test him for free, like you kind of can on the PTR, if you got a week's worth of play with Blaze and then just determined, oh, well, he's not my style, not going to pick him up, like I might have done with Hanzo, frankly, if I could go back in time. But you get the idea. I'd be worried about that, and I'm sure Blizzard would as well. But I mean, yeah, if it kind of harkens back to the old school PTR where you have the ability to purchase them before they're available in ranked or the live servers, I think there could be something to this. I don't know what you guys think as an initial reaction on this one.
It got me thinking, and
Right.
it kind of just depends on what all new content is coming in. For balance changes, things like that, I could see it coming into where it's just quick match, but doesn't carry over to ranked play for like a week or so. That way, a lot of people are playing quick match. They can kind of get numbers from that. And it's a good way for people to get used to it before going into ranked play, because not a lot of people play PTR. Therefore, they don't test the changes anyways. Maybe they only play ranked, and now they're switching from one to the other like immediately. But it got me thinking with the 2018 gameplay, like what could they have done with that? And and they wouldn't have to do this for every season necessarily, but have breaks between seasons. And maybe like not long breaks, preferably a longer one for this. I don't know, 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month. And it doesn't have to be that long, but to where you take a break from the last season, 2018 changes come in, it's on the live servers. You can still play ranked. It just, maybe the rewards are already locked. But you can, move up and down. It affects your MMR still if you want to do that. Or it's just a period for people to play the game, get used to the changes before they go live, because they're really big changes. So I don't know if they plan on doing like yearly updates like this where they change it, maybe doing that at the end of the year. But yeah, I'd kind of like to see something like that if they move away from the PTR test server and going on. I'd still like to see them try and come up with ways to get people in there, like experience for your heroes carrying over, stuff like that. Still being able to earn rewards, but it's a very wide scenario.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. I completely agree. I still want to see stuff tested in the PTR more thoroughly and ways to get more people in there. But I think we could do potentially a better job of some quote live testing before stuff goes super wide. A good way to do that is to ban the newest hero from Hero League for a week or two.
Yeah.
Let people play them in unranked, let people play them in quick match. As soon as the masses get in there and start playing them, they fairly quickly will find out if there are any big bugs. Two, they can get an idea at the very least of balance. Three, he's still available in Team League if you want. It's just a Hero League thing. And so you can still get some high-level, more team-based competitive play with him. You may potentially ban him in Hero League and Team League for a week or something, but that would give you time to catch the inconsistencies, like some of the Kael'thas bugs that he had when he came out on release. That could have probably been caught and not have affected play. It would have still affected, quick match and unranked draft or what. I don't know, even know if we had unranked draft then, but it would not have at least affected your actual ranking status. And then Blizzard would have time to go in their review data and get some fixes out before they enable them. That's not uncommon in these type of games. I mean, we see it in HGC now. He's banned for a week or two until he can come out for competitive play. So there's some precedence there, right? And then I love the idea of map testing in the Brawl mode. If you've got a brand new map, you want to get feedback on it before it goes live, especially feedback on it before it goes live and gets thrown into rank immediately. Let's see it as a Brawl. Throw it on there, see what people think. People can give feedback, and maybe we see the map a month or two before it comes out, and they now have time to tweak it based on the feedback they were given, or potentially a version of it or something. There's a lot of ways you can use live to test stuff, and I wouldn't mind seeing those type of things utilized at all.
Yeah, agreed. There's so many things they can do. They just need to, I think, do something. It's like the current system, and who knows? They see the numbers. Maybe they haven't changed it because they're getting enough numbers from PTR testing. But it would be nice to want to go into PTR for something.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you don't have
or bring it.
Do it for every single PTR, but for the big ones, we need some incentive to get more people on.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many of these issues probably would have been caught from the 2018 gameplay update if enough people were actually in there and testing that ranked mode and that performance-based matchmaking and such beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
We may have seen a lot of that stuff potentially fixed before it went live, and Blizzard hit the unfortunate scenario of having to reset ranked twice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the huge ones like this. Like, don't put it in PTR, just bring it live. There's a break between the seasons, so it has to get tested by a lot of people, and they absolutely would have found that.
I don't know if they would have found it. I mean, I'd like to think so. Obviously, I think that they didn't do enough testing because they didn't find it. But, when I think about it, like, even if you were able to double the number of people on the PTR at any given time, it still would pale in comparison to live just in general, because some people just aren't interested in giving feedback or doing any of that stuff. So, I mean, the true test of any new update is live.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that it's possible that we could have run into all those issues anyway. But, I mean, obviously anything we could have done to help nip it in the bud early would potentially have helped out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to say.
Yeah.
Blizzard probably has a better idea though, because they're
Agreed.
looking at the numbers.
All right. So we got another question here from Naraki.
It's not really a question so much, and it's actually some of these points we've kind of already discussed, Naraki. So I'm going to kind of shorten up your email here a little bit, not because I think it was too long, honestly. This one's good, but I know you want to make that last point. So Naraki was just kind of writing in, saying that he feels that this Tyrael rework is one of the first new cycles that the devs are talking about, in the sense that they can do these reworks a bit more spread out and not have to worry about putting them in with bigger patches. And adds, as much as he's in love with the mech skins, they aren't as important really as a new hero or other gameplay changes. So this helps Tyrael gets the attention he deserves. And then he adds, honestly, I like this new way of doing things. Keeps it more interesting as we don't have to wait for the major patches. And then just want to know what we think. So we've kind of been over what we think for the most part on this. We definitely agree with you on all that. But Naraki does, I'm sure, want to add this in. P.S. If only poor Jimmy could get the same treatment. Oh, poor Jimmy. So,
Yes.
Yeah. And we
good
kind
old
of
Rainer.
we kind of talked about this actually when we were talking about the patch. This kind of being the first of just a rework.
Right.
Because I think the last time they mentioned this was right after they did the patch that had Jaina rework, Leoric rework. Who else was in there? There were two other reworks.
Morales.
Yeah, Morales. Somebody
That
else.
was a major
Chromie?
one.
And then
Chromie.
yeah, Chromie,
Chromie, yeah.
and Kel'Thuzad
Yep.
release. So
That was huge.
yeah, that's when we had our Blizzard, please slow down or do something to, like
I can't
patch note
take this
burnout.
discussion.
Yeah, because it was like week
I
after
love
week
it.
after week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoy this and hope that this is kind of the route they continue to go when it comes to reworks. Obviously, if there's a week or something where there's a lot of balance changes that need to happen and they're wanting to do a rework, don't postpone it just because of that. But don't wait until there's a balance patch and to throw a rework out there. So I can dig it.
I also agree on Jimmy. It has been he probably I think at this point he probably has the oldest kit in the game.
Yeah, that's easy.
From like an original feel. He has one ability that does nothing, and his trait is now been copied and made better by several other heroes.
Right.
that just
It's
have
their
it as a
baseline.
baseline, yeah,
Yeah,
or as a part of their trait, and then they get something else too. So you never see him, like you literally. I haven't seen him in months.
I
in
didn't
any form of play.
I hadn't really even thought about that. Because he was, even though he hadn't been reworked for a while, like there were periods he'd go through where he was still like really strong.
He had a bug that made him
yeah.
insane for like a month, but
Yeah,
apart from that, you just don't see him because there's people that do what he does a lot better now.
Oh yeah.
I'd agree. So
There's really honestly never a time I would have picked him over Vala in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Other than to test him out and have fun. Just
so
throwing that out there.
so next week, Blizzard, ARAM maps in customs and announcement of Jimmy rework. And more
I believe-
Mexicans.
Sounds good.
And more Mexicans.
And more Mexicans. Rainer mech along with the Rainer rework
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, that's the new rule. Anytime you do a rework, you have to release a Mexican with them.
Oh, you
I'll
said
take that.
Mexican. I thought you were saying Mexican. I was like, I mean, yeah, sure, but what? Did I miss something?
Rainer and
Okay.
more Mexicans. Yeah.
Mexicans. Mexicans.
Mexicans.
You see where my problem is here. Anyway,
I do.
It's the Siesta Rainer skin.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You
dig it.
nanotech. That's a nanotech way of thinking. Before we get out of here, real quick, Multi, why don't you tell people where we can be reached?
Oh, you can find us in-game by typing /join space LOTS, or you can join our Discord, which is actually, it's sticking to the top of our Twitter, but we've got a link for it too. It's bit.ly/lotsdiscord, so check that out. But yeah, like I said, top of the Twitter at Lords of the Storm. Also, we are on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm live Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central. And again, we're the original Heroes of the Storm podcast on Wednesday nights. All right, XXL Epic in chat. All right. Also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can email us with feedback or questions to lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help out the show, there's a couple good ways to do it. One of which is to leave a review, preferably a positive one. 5-star iTunes is a huge help. Can't stress that one enough. Positive Stitcher, whatever. And again, we do have the Patreon, patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where if you want to help out the show just a little bit more, any amount helps us out. I mean, we've just made the major purchases of a bunch of new equipment for both TBK and I to make sure that we don't have dips in our audio quality when Gizmo's away. Not that we really did. I mean, honestly, the audio didn't sound the same, but the quality of the show was, I think, way better. I'm sure that everyone would agree.
Impeccable. It was
I
impeccable.
just get it all over the place. You guys are such jerks. I'm done.
It's okay. It's okay. I was just joking. But seriously, Patreon would help us out. And you may even help me buy a new full bag of Doritos. So that would be cool.
And more ketchup packets.
Yes. No, you're right. I forgot. All about the ketchup packets.
Yeah. You can also find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all those things at Gizmozord, as well as Convert to Raid presents the Battle.net News, which is Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Central. I do want to give a special shout out to Convert to Raid. This week are celebrating the 5-year anniversary of the guild itself, not the show. So that is super neat. I can't believe it's been 5 years. And again, I can't thank Pat and Coltrane and Darius and Solar enough, because I probably not only wouldn't be podcasting, I may not still be gaming or involved in Blizzard games if it wasn't for the guild itself on top of the podcast. So huge congrats to them. Multi, where can you be reached?
Yeah, because you were a guildie way before any of this stuff, right?
Yeah, I joined the guild
you threw
the
them.
month
Wow.
it started.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I can be found on Twitter at Multizord. And so definitely go back and check that last episode of the Cavalry. Again, episode title 101 and Done, which is as good an episode title as you can hope for. I guess in the future, I might point you to the Overwatch League Network show, because Slambo, the host of the Cavalry, is continuing on with that. And it's the Overwatch League. It's picking up a lot of steam. I don't know if you guys noticed, but they kind of like revamped all of esports last week. So yeah. And I believe they're on Twitter at OWLN Show. I'm going to confirm that super quick as TBK. TBK, how can they find you?
Well done, Multi. You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and twitch.tv/TBKZord, where I don't ever stream anymore because I don't have time. It's been really depressing. But yeah, lots of fun. You can also find my articles over on Heroes Hearth, my Heroes Hearth blog. I should be doing another one next week on some of the HGC stuff that will be happening this weekend. So that'll be a lot of fun. And also be sure to catch next episode, because it will be our 150th
That's
show,
right.
as well as our 3-year anniversary. So at the very least, we should have some cool stuff. We'll have some giveaways as well for both audio listeners / Discord and our live viewers. So be sure, if you can, to check that out. It should be a lot of fun.
Indeed.
3 years, guys.
It's pretty nifty.
And
Like
150
150, because normally, like,
Yeah.
150 is cool, but it's not like 100 or 200. But it's 150 and our 3-year.
3-year.
Holy crap!
Right.
3 years.
I know. We've been playing
don't-
Heroes for almost 4 years and podcasting for 3 years. It's insane.
Wow.
Someone in real life actually asked me not that long ago how long we'd been doing this, and it hit me then. Like, we've talked about it, the 3-year anniversary coming up. But when I answered back 3 years to one of my coworkers, even I was kind of like, wow, we've been at this for a bit.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
What are
crazy.
we doing with
the
our
game
life?
has grown
No,
so
I
much,
genuinely don't know.
and it's still the best.
Indeed. Before we get out, and give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show. We really do appreciate it. Until next time, guys, we'll see you, around. Get in there. Expecto Patroleum.
Expecto Patroleum. Get it.
See you guys.
Like, subscribe.
I shall do no more.
Bam.
Bam.